Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Coder's Corner. Joining me again is Hector. Hector, hello. How are you doing today?
Hello. Yeah, I'm good, thanks.
So, what tips do you have for us today?
So yeah, we've got two shorter tips today. The first one is a really quick thing that I think everyone should do with their SaaS. We're going to talk about sort of base SaaS using SaaS EG. I'm sure there's an equivalent thing you can do. Basically, the advice is to set SaaS up to change your tabs to spaces. So this is actually part of the Fuse GPP guidelines, and then our own Veramed GPP guidelines are based on the Fuse ones, and I think like many other companies do the same thing, just because the Fuse GPP guidelines are very good. So really quickly in regular SaaS, you have to make sure you're sort of focused on the enhanced editor. And then you go for Tools, Options, Enhanced Editor. This will bring up all of your enhanced editor options. Kind of basically in the middle, it will give you a checkbox to insert tab spaces for tabs. So you want to select that. And then you can also change the tab size to your preferred number of spaces for indentations. So I use 3 spaces, but the guidelines say anywhere from 2 to 5 is okay. I think 2 to 4 is, or 2 or 4 is probably the most common. I think people don't like my code too much with the odd number of spaces, but you know, it's all preference. You can keep the indentation automatic, and this will keep using spaces as well to do that automatic indentation. So it's just something that you might not have considered before if you use tab to indent your code. The reason for doing it is basically tabs don't display the same in all editors. So you might have some really nicely aligned code on your screen that's really easy to read for you, but then someone else comes and picks it up and it's all over the place. And all of a sudden that massive macro call that you've got that was really easy to see what was going on for you is just impossible for someone else. So yeah, that's the first tip, really quick one, but I think it's a really, really valuable one, and really everyone should do it.
No, definitely. It's definitely one that I've done anytime I've opened base SaaS on with various clients or whatever. Like that's definitely one thing I do because
Yeah.
tabbing is a very easy thing to do, and especially because who wants to hold spacebar down every single time? So
Yeah.
yep, that's a very helpful tip. What else do you have for us?
So the next one is a really, really useful function called the INTNX function. It's a function that's sort of based around dates and intervals in time. So it's really, really flexible. On my screen, I'm just going to load up the documentation for it to remind myself what it can actually do. The sort of main use case that I've used it for is for imputing end dates. Basically, what it can do is it can take in a date that you give it, and then it can give you as an output the end of the month that that date's in. So if you've got, say, a partial end date, which is what June 2023, you could just create a numeric value of the 1st of June and then give it to this function, and then it will give you the end of June, which is the 30th. So just with this trick, you don't need to worry about leap years or what month it is, any of that stuff. Like I've seen codes where people are calculating like the floor of the year divided by 4 and like plus 100 for like the odd leap year that comes along every century, like that kind of thing. You don't need to do any of that with the INTNX function. You can also use it to sort of skip ahead months at a time. So instead of, say, if you're doing calendar months, you don't need to skip ahead 30 days and then, or like 31 days, you could just do plus 1 month and it will take the calendar into account. I would say in terms of, picking this up, using it in your own code, just go through Google, go to the documentation, and you'll start to see that it's a really, really flexible function, and it's really, you can use it for so many different things.
Excellent. Yeah, no, that sounds very helpful, especially for sort of add-on programming and just finding partial dates, end dates, start dates. Are always a bit of a pain sometimes.
Exactly.
But yeah, this is very useful, especially like you said, it counts for leap years, which is something that I'm sure has been a bane of a lot of programmers and statisticians when trying to program end dates. So yeah, fantastic tip once again. Hector, thank you again for joining me this week. 2 very useful tips there. Everybody, thank you all very much for listening. And if you would like to see all of Hector's tips, this week's and previously, please head over to our Instagram page at We Are Veramed, and you'll be able to see sort of a visual representation of everything Hector mentioned. Thanks again, Hector, and I'll speak to you next time.
Thank you.